It was kind of scary. I'm not going to let myself miss out on opportunities because I'm breaking out.
No, absolutely. And I think you nailed it with that, because it's like, you're not going to let this one breakout like hold you back from this event or this vacation or whatever else, right?
It's not worth it.
It's time to get loud. Welcome back to Loud Talk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. And today I have a very special guest, the Blemish Queen, Nicole. Thank you for joining me today on Loud Talk with Lavi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm super excited as well. So right off the bat, I want to know a little bit more about you, because we've been following each other like on socials for a minute here, and I always see your posts, which I love because like, they're motivating to me, and I'm sure so many other people struggling with their skin or just feeling like maybe trapped in their skin. I also love that you are unfiltered online. I stand for that fully. So I really love that. But I want to know a little bit more about you. Not necessarily just like with your social media background,
Yeah.
but like more about you, like, what do you like to do? Maybe take us a little bit into your like childhood, and kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Sure. I mean, we can really dig deep, like as if you were my therapist, if you really want to.
Let's do
Um,
it.
but I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
Right now I'm living here in Florida, but grew up in New Jersey, born and raised. I have one younger sister who is my pride and joy in life. Mom and dad, grew up in a little bit of a rough childhood situation, really struggled with confidence in who I was, not just with my skin, because I actually didn't really have much acne as a teenager. I was one of those lucky
Interesting.
few, yes, who got acne in their 20s.
Yeah.
I
Life was
had
like, we'll give it to you later. Don't you?
exactly, you have enough to go through right
Yeah.
now, so we'll just like pile this on in the future.
Yeah.
So, growing up was super tough, had a rough relationship with my mom, my dad. My dad was kind of assertive, aggressive, abusive. My mom ended up developing some mental health issues that she still struggles with today. So, a lot of like self confidence issues. I didn't really have friends. I remember my senior year, I sat by myself at the lunch table, was
Okay.
just not a cool girl, not a girl's girl, not anybody's girl. I was just kind of viewed myself as like a nobody. And then when I went to college, I really grew into myself, and as I felt I was finding myself is when I got hit with acne. So it just kind of hit me so hard, in the middle of finding this confidence and this power and this, self love. I was
Right.
kind of taken down a peg and struggled with that for quite some time before I made the decision to go on Accutane, which absolutely changed my life
Mm.
personally. And since then, I have just been flourishing, growing in who I am. I obviously do social media, as you know, but I also have worked this entire time. I have always maintained a real job, I say with air quotes, because social media is tough too. But I have worked in the field of psychology. I have my master's in
Wow.
child and adolescent developmental psychology. I'm in school right now to become a board certified behavioral analyst through Florida Tech. So I'm always busy. I'm always doing things. I have, including social media right now, 3 jobs, and I'm living here in Florida, and it has been like a crazy, crazy ride. I try and find time for myself to do the things that I love, like paddleboarding, longboarding, hiking, camping, all that good outdoor
Fun.
stuff, frisbee. But juggling all these things can be tough.
Right. No, for sure. And I definitely want to get into, because I know you mentioned like, I think in previous or maybe on social media, like that you do work outside of social media. And I think that is one, misconception that I think a lot of people, can look at someone online and see all these followers and all these numbers and think like,
Yeah.
oh, like they have it all, right? So there's this I think misconception where people associate like numbers online with like being like just uber rich, which is not how it works.
I wish I was rich.
But so like what are like so obviously social media, what are your other two jobs right now?
So I work with kiddos in foster care. I worked with a company before the one I'm working with now, where I had a caseload and I had kiddos. I've kind of transitioned into a more part-time position with them, and I do a lot of paperwork for my friends and coworkers that work closely with the kiddos in foster care. And then I work as a registered behavioral tech. So going into schools, working one-on-one with kiddos that have oppositional defiance disorder, autism, generally just behavioral difficulties
Mhm.
in the classroom setting a lot of the time, in the home setting. And I'm kind of there to help support them, help instill more, positive sorts of behaviors, help teach them. And those are the two things that I do outside of this, in addition to going to school.
So you're still in school right now?
Yes, I do online school through Florida
Okay.
Tech. Hmm.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, no, it's so nice to hear like other people in the space kind of like juggling a bunch of other stuff because like I'm also in school right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that makes me feel a little more like I don't want to say like secluded in the influencer like industry, but a lot of times when I do go to events or I am around other influencers, I don't feel like I fully fit in because it's like, I'm trying to do school full time, or last year I was working full time while also doing content
Yeah.
creating pretty much full time as well, right? And then like when I'm in the school setting, I can't really relate to everyone around me because it's like I have this like whole nother job that I need like to do. And I mean I love it. There's no other
Yeah.
way I could juggle it unless I did love it. But definitely looking forward to finishing school here
How
pretty
much
soon.
longer do you have?
About a year. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so home stretch. What is your degree in?
So I'm doing a dual degree in chemical engineering and business right now. So it's a heavy
Wow.
course load, but we're pushing through it. And last year I was on an internship, so I was working like a full 9 to 5, and that I was able to like almost balance content more with that because it's like at least I had
Yeah.
like my evenings and weekends open. But like then you're like fully blocked off like the whole day, right? So like now at school, I
Yeah.
feel like I have more flexibility maybe during the day, but then weekends and evenings, it's like okay, but I have to like study for this exam or I have to do this assignment or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know which version is better, but either way, we're just trying to juggle it. But I do want to ask you, like, when did you start kind of posting on social media, and what was the reason for that? Because I feel like it takes a lot, especially when you're going through something tough, to be like, you know what, I'm gonna open this to the world and just let everyone in on it. Like, what was kind of the mentality you had behind that?
I started my social media account as the Blemish Queen in, I believe it was 2019. So
Okay.
it's been a couple years here. I remember the catalyst was February of that year. It was right before COVID really fully hit. I had gone on a cruise, and it is when my acne was just in full-fledged, worst it has ever been,
Mm-hmm.
bright red, inflamed, bleeding. I was actually sitting in my room on this cruise, crying, upset, instead of enjoying my time because of how self-conscious I was. And that is when I started digging into the acne positivity, skin positivity space on social media. Back then, it was so non existent. It was
No.
so, so small, so tiny.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through these posts of people talking about their Accutane journey. And at that point, I had thrown everything in the kitchen sink at my skin. And I'm one of the people that nothing was really working. And I was so in dire need for the sake of my mental health to use something that was going to probably work instead of risking these very slow burning chances at something, that I felt like Accutane was the only option I had. And I came across profiles of people documenting their journey, talking about the symptoms that they were having, talking about how their skin was progressing, showing before and afters, talking about the products that they were using. And I thought, wow, like this makes me feel better as someone that has control issues, as someone with anxiety. Like, I need to know what's going on, and these
Yeah.
people are helping me. And so when I made the decision to go on Accutane, I simultaneously decided that I wanted to be that person for somebody else.
Mm.
Even if it was really tough for me to put myself out there. I was not a super outgoing person back then. I have definitely grown and changed now. I was super worried, and I was met with a lot of hate in the beginning, a lot of insults, a lot of criticism. But I just thought, even if I could resonate with one person, even if I could help
Right.
one person and just show them that, like, hey, look, I'm going through this too and I'm okay. It was also helping me realize that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that's how I started it all.
No, I love hearing that, and I think that is, like, the most beautiful way that anyone can come to social media is, like, you know what, like, I'm going to share my message, and if one person can t relate to this, like, perfect, because I think, especially now too, like, I think so many people are trying to get on social media because they see, like, all these things that you can do with it, and I think, you have to have, like, that true passion behind it or that true, like, thing that you're sharing with the world, and I think for you, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you were going into this expecting to become like an influencer for like you were just sharing your journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. And even now, I'm at the point where I love the growth, and my growth has been one of those more slow trickling types of growth. I'm not one of those people that's like, I'm at 1 million
Yeah.
followers,
Trust
But
me, I understand that.
don't get me wrong. If 80, what am I at? 81,000. If 81,000 people walked it, they wouldn't even fit in this apartment. Like that is an absurd amount of people. But
Yeah.
even now, I don't even want to be big, famous on billboards, even though that would be cool. I like being me. I like being introverted sometimes and having my cozy space and
Mm,
keeping to myself. And I feel like at a certain point, you reach a level where you don't have that privilege anymore. And
no.
that's kind of intimidating to me.
No, for sure. And so like I've been on social media for 9 years. I started out on
Wow.
YouTube when I was 13 actually, which now thinking back, like I am thankful for the slow growth because I think if I was like slammed with a bunch of subscribers when I was 13, I would be a completely different person.
Yeah.
Not only that, like I even was thinking the other day, I'm like, would I have even been like pursuing my degree, let's say, right? Which is something like I'm really happy I'm doing, even if I don't necessarily work in the field after, like I could, right?
Yeah.
Like I have those options. So, and I think it also teaches you like the value of like hard work and that like, things take time to grow because I think a lot of people who do get hit with that following like right away, it's like, how do you even like, handle that all of a sudden? You can't even like think like, okay, like I'm this person now, I'm all of a sudden this person with so many eyes on me, right? Like you see those effects and so many big
Yeah.
creators talk about it, right? So you got to be thankful for like each situation obviously, but you have to see like the good side as you said of even like a smaller community. And at the end of the day, like it's like you said like 81,000 people that you have, you know, helped in some way in some capacity, and that is
Yeah.
so cool. And that's the power of the internet that I think is so powerful, and like when we use it in this good way, it can really be so amazing and such a positive space, when we are more real on there. But were you at all scared like posting this stuff online? Were you scared of people like seeing it? Like walk me through that journey because I know for myself, I was way more comfortable almost posting to complete strangers than I was like, oh, if my like high school friends saw this or something.
Oh, 1,000%. And still to this day, I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna take my lipstick off because I hate the way it feels on my mouth. Uh, like 1,000%. And nobody knows this because you and I chatted before, but I recorded a video. That's why I have makeup on. Otherwise, I would be totally barefaced right now. Still foundation free though, I'll tell you that. But I still am not comfortable with people in my life really knowing, and everybody knows because I do talk about it from time to time and people follow me on social media.
Right.
My family and my friends are very vocal about it. We'll meet somebody new, they'll be like, "Do you know that she's famous?" I'm like, "Please shut up." Like,
Yeah.
please do not open your mouth anymore. I'm not famous. I don't want that to
Yeah.
be I'm
No,
not
seriously.
gonna demand things from people. I don't want anything for free. I don't want anything. I don't want
No.
anything. I want to be a nobody. So
Yeah.
I still struggle with talking about it with my family and my friends when I meet somebody new and it's like, well, what do you do for work? I often leave it out. And there's some people in my life, newer people that have no idea that any of it exists. Oftentimes I wait like months before I even say, hey, because I'll start offering people skincare since I get so much of it. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
do you want some skincare? Because I'm not going to use it. And then they start asking, how do you do? Should I give you money for
Yeah.
this? I'm like, no,
No.
it's free. And they're like,
Yeah.
what do you mean it's free? I'm like,
Like, how'd you get it?
well, so it's still because I almost feel like it's a different person. And I'm true and I'm authentic in the videos that I post, but I find myself feeling way more confident behind the camera. And I think so many people do, right? That's why there's haters online. You feel so much more confident behind this camera because you don't have to face these people. in real life, I'm not okay. Like I have anxiety, I'm in therapy, I'm going through a lot right now. So it's almost like two different versions of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's still me, it's still who I am, but it's hard for me to bridge that gap between this life and that life sometimes, for sure.
No, and thanks for opening up about that because I even get comments all the time being like, I wish I could be like as confident as you. And I'm like, not every day looks the same, right? And like just
Hmm.
because like, I'm posting this video where I'm really confident doesn't mean I might have like a hard time tomorrow, like in my skin. Like, it's all about ups and downs. And I think when people watch content on social media, they think that like everything is just they see that one clip and they imagine this whole life behind it of just like pure perfection. And I think you being open about that is really important and kind of just
Yeah.
taking down that layer for sure. And isn't it so interesting because like I feel the same way like when random people watch my videos online, like I'm like proud of them, but when someone like the worst is when someone pulls up your profile in front of you and starts like looking at your videos. I'm like,
I'm like, I
oh,
just want to I can't just
like
take me
all
out
of a
right now.
sudden all of your videos are like so cringy and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh
I'm
yeah,
like, is that
no.
really how I sound when
Yeah.
I talk? Like,
Yeah, no, seriously. And I think like
mhm.
you're so right with that. Like I definitely last year, like when I was working my engineering job, I think I would kind of flip flop between like what I would say depending on who I was talking to, depending on like who I met, right? Obviously, if I'm at like an influencer event or like around people who like understand the space a
Yeah.
bit more, then I was like, oh yeah, I'm a content creator. But then like, in other situations, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm a project engineer. And I think the worst also was like people at work finding out and being like, oh, she's famous. Like literally the same thing you were describing. And I'm like, guys, like please.
I'm
Like
not
I'm
famous. I'm
not even remotely
normal.
close, but like, okay. So
Yeah, it's tough out here, and like you said before about even I always believe even the people that post real life authenticity online, people like you and me, and I love people in this space. There's so many incredible faces.
yeah.
It's amazing the community that has been
Mm-hmm.
created that didn't exist before. But even people like us, you don't see everything.
Oh,
Social media is still not real life.
yeah.
And even though I love your posts where you post like your makeup in different lighting and you say, this was my makeup at this time of the day, this is it
Thank
now. And I
you.
love that stuff. I love that content. It inspires me. And I take inspiration from your content all the time. And I know you can speak to this too. Even that is just a glimpse of your life.
Yeah.
Even that's not everything. And we have good days, we have bad days. We have days where even though we're posting about how other people, encouraging them to feel confident in their skin, it doesn't necessarily reflect how I'm feeling right now. I might feel really
Mm-hmm.
crappy about the way I look.
Yeah.
And sometimes I post about, hey, if you're feeling crappy about the way that you look, here's how to feel better. And I'm feeling great about the
Yeah.
way my skin looks. Like it's really my content. I always, and I don't know if you feel the same way. As much as I post for myself, I feel like I'm in a different place mentally most of the
Mm-hmm.
time now. I post more for other people to make
Mm-hmm.
other people feel better, to make other people feel encouraged, to remind other people that, you can get to this point where you feel confident in your skin. You're not alone where you're at right now. Your acne doesn't define your worth. You're still beautiful. You still are deserving and worthy of love and, respect. But I think that it can be hard to kind of separate the two. People are so honed in on, no, this is real life. This is what I want. This is who I want to be. But
Right.
even what I post isn't. Yes, it's 100% authentically me, but it's not everything.
No, no, and you can't catch everything in one like static photo or one 15-second reel. Like you can't.
Yeah.
And even like you said, like the lighting comparisons I do, like, some days I just take those photos like in the different lighting and post whatever. But some days where maybe I'm feeling down my skin, I take that photo in the bathroom and I'm like, oh, I really like the one in front of the ring light, like better. But
Yes.
it's like, and other days I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So like that's the thing, right? And I think as much as we are posting to help other people because we've gotten to a certain place in our journey, we still, I think, at least for me, like there are some days
Yeah.
if I am like at a lower point, some days like my own content also helps me. And not even that, but it's also like I have to kind of like, practice what I preach, right? Because if I'm
Yeah.
telling people like, here, use these tips if you're feeling down about your skin this day, like I can't not also be doing that when I feel down, right? Or else it's like, what's the whole point of it? So it definitely,
Exactly.
it's like such a win-win. I think even if like, I think even just having this social platform has helped me so much in my journey and kind of just accelerating that growth and confidence in myself, because it's almost like these followers and these people like counting on me are keeping me accountable in my own journey.
Yes, and I feel like it's helped me, and I don't know if you feel the same, but love different parts of myself that maybe
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize I was
Mm-hmm.
self-conscious about. Sometimes it starts off as like a hate comment that makes you more aware of something that you
You're
never were
like,
self-conscious
oh.
about. Oh, my teeth are kind of weird. You're right. But then it just like grows and stems, and I feel like it has been. I would never be the confident person that I am today if I didn't go through this journey. 1,000%.
Right. So what was your kind of like reaction when you started? Like, do you remember like the first post that kind of like got some traction? Like, how
I
did that feel for you?
I think it was one of those posts where I was kind of showcasing my progression on Accutane. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like my skin in the beginning, which was super red and inflamed, and then to where it had gotten at that point. I think it was like the 6 month mark or something. And I think that was the first time one of my posts got over 10,000 views. And at this point, I think it has over a million or something. It's a static image in feed, and it was kind of scary. I was excited and happy and kind of mind boggled, but especially in the beginning, especially when I feel like when you have more noticeable acne going on, more like obvious breakouts, which I still get all the time, you get a lot more hate. When you have less obvious breakouts or smaller pimples, you don't. So back then, when my skin was really going through it, a lot of those comments, I would say it was 50-50 split with positivity and negativity. Those vomit emojis and the
Yeah.
gagging emojis, and just full of fire. And at that point, I was not confident enough in myself outside of my appearance that that stuff was absolutely terrible, and it broke my heart and it made me feel so much pain. And I was scared when I got that many views that it was just going to keep getting worse.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think when any post goes like more viral, like you're always gonna have like some sort of split of like, because it just like to be able for it to like reach that many eyes, like it's gonna go outside of like the people
Yeah.
you're trying to reach, like it's just going to. And I don't know, like if this, I just thought of this, like I feel like when the posts of mine that go like the most viral, I don't even end up looking really too much at the comments, because I just feel like there's so many that I just like don't even really look at them. Like I really look
Yeah.
more at the comments on like the posts that just do like their regular kind of my average like views or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I found myself lately looking at the comments on the ones that have more views because I think I'm in a different mental place now where I see those insults and it almost makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Like people calling me Freddy Krueger because I have scars on my face. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess
If you want.
if that's what makes you
Yeah.
feel better. Like, does this make you feel better? Like,
My
I
my
guess
my
so.
favorite is you have acne. I'm like,
Yeah. Good
thank you.
catch. Yeah. And I've actually started like replying to them
Oh,
on my stories
that's my favorite to do is reply to
because
them.
I like replying on my stories so that my followers can see, like, look, these comments don't
Don't bother me.
matter.
Yeah.
Like, these people don't matter. Like, it blows my mind that people think going online and say, like, what are you trying to achieve?
I
What is,
know.
I can't get into that mindset outside of making somebody feel worse. Like, obviously, you feel terrible about yourself
Yeah.
that you want other people to suffer and feel miserable like you. I don't understand it. So now I just sit back and I just kind of laugh. Like,
Yep.
if it makes you feel better, okay. Like, you're lucky that you said it to me, though, and not somebody else
That's
who,
what I always say. That's what I always say. And sometimes
yeah,
when I do reply to them like through a video, I'll say like, by the way, like this comment did not affect me in one way. Like, found it
yeah.
hilarious actually. But the reason I'm making this video is to tell you like, maybe don't say those things to people, because as much as it didn't affect me, like it could like really affect someone like just starting off their journey, and that could set them back so far. So it's like watch what you say type of thing.
I mean, exactly, because what is it? Is suicide the second leading cause of death amongst people in our general age group? It is a real thing, and especially with appearances, it's a huge catalyst to depression, anxiety. You are going to be fueling there's a good chance you could be fueling the fire for someone to finally make that decision, and that might be dramatic and it might sound like a lot and it's kind of intense, but it's very real. You do not know the power behind words, especially behind a computer. People feel so comfortable saying things that they would never say to somebody in real life, and it could be so negative. You never know where someone else is at mentally. It's not worth it. Like you do. I don't think a single person, I take that back because maybe there are people out there, but I feel like a normal person would not want to make somebody feel that way, would feel terrible if they learned that their words led to somebody taking their own life. You really have to think about the message you're putting out there and recognize that you never really know where somebody else is at. It's not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think one thing I want to get into with is like you're, obviously, like you said, you've been on Accutane and that like really, really helped you, right? And I get a lot of like pressure from people online telling me to go on Accutane. And the reason I haven't is because I do know my acne is like really hormonal driven. And I've already seen
Yeah.
like the effects just over this like past year, even like of just, balancing my hormones and how that's really helped me. And I'm, still going down that journey because it's very complicated for sure. But
Yeah.
there's this pressure that it's like people just don't understand that they're like, why don't you like they don't understand why I won't go on Accutane because and my favorite comments are people who are like, oh, she's doing this on purpose so she can get more views, blah. And I'm like, right, because anyone would wish acne upon themselves. Like, what a silly thing to say. But I do feel like that pressure, and it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
people are almost like offended seeing like acne on me, and I'm like, how is this affecting you in any way? Like at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
it's my face that like is like affected, and how I feel and like the pain from it and all that, like it does not affect you in either way. But as someone who's been on Accutane, like I want to get your perspective on that, because like I think that's why it's such like a personal journey, because it can work so well for some people, but it's also not the like cure for like other people, right?
The truth is, Accutane is not the cure for anybody.
Right.
Accutane is not there is no cure to acne. And I think that is the biggest misconception, is that Accutane is a cure. Even as somebody who went on it, I still get breakouts. Are they as bad as they were before? Absolutely not. But your acne, honestly, is never going to go away. The true cure, I do air quotes, to your acne is finding the root cause of your acne. For you, it's hormones. For me, I have dietary intolerances, I have hormonal imbalances, I have an autoimmune disease, I have all the things. So Accutane did help me, but my acne is going to keep coming. It's
Right.
it's going to still be there. I can only do certain things in my lifestyle. I have to make lifestyle changes, dietary changes, that kind of stuff in order to really effectively keep it at bay. Because if I don't, it's going to come back like how it
Mm-hmm.
did before. It is. I think Accutane is so controversial. There's people out there saying, you need to take it, you need to take it. And then once you take it, everybody's like, you're killing yourself. It's poison. It's chemotherapy. And you can never win with
Yeah.
Accutane. You can never win with acne. And Accutane, it's not even technically Accutane. It's the word that we all use, but Accutane doesn't even exist anymore because Accutane was discontinued in like 2015 because it was so bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
technically isotretinoin, or
Yeah,
however you say
isotretinoin.
it. And it's not even studied well enough to truly even know the long-term effects of it. That's the truth. People pull out these studies and bring out these facts, and that's about drugs that were used that don't even exist anymore. We don't even really know. So listen, I could be messed up in the future from my choice. I don't even know. Doctors don't even really know that they keep an eye on your liver function and you have to get blood work every month. But it is risky. Is it chemotherapy? I wouldn't go that far, but it is risky. And even when I was taking it, I was met from family, friends, people I didn't know with criticism. I
Mm-hmm.
was getting sent articles. I was being told that I was killing myself. I was being told that I was encouraging people to take it when I was just sharing my experience. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that people need to realize is it's your body and it's your choice. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why people think that stops with our internal organs for
Yeah.
some reason, but it's my body and it is my choice. If I'm not hurting anybody, I think it's safe to say that I can do as I please with the way my
Mm-hmm.
appearance is. So if I have acne and I want to go on Accutane, it's not hurting you, person that I don't know that lives across the world and isn't even a part of my life. It's not hurting you. If it's gonna hurt anybody, it's gonna hurt me, and that's my choice. But it's not gonna cure it. The best thing, if you are in a place where you feel like you have no other solution, if you've tried everything, if your mental health is suffering and you need something to work, it's probably going to work. It's probably going to work for you, but just be prepared to try and work to find what's really triggering your acne. It could be your hair care, it could be your skin care, it could be your body care products, it could be stress, it could be hormones, it could be dietary intolerance, it could be a million and one things. But it's going to come back because what Accutane does is it like kills your oil glands
Yeah.
essentially and reduces oil glands, production. So that's why it's effective. A lot of the times your oil glands are now dead. My skin is not as oily as it was before. But even with that, the root cause of acne 99% of the time is not simply because your skin is oily. Why is your skin getting more oily?
Right.
And once you figure that out, that's what really helps you to heal.
Yeah. No, and it's really great to hear that from you because I think there's all this pressure online and like I think I'm at a different place where I can handle that a bit more, but I really wanted to hear that message from you to anyone listening to this episode being like, okay, like if I want to take it, that's fine because like I've done my
Yeah.
research, I know what I'm getting into, I've understand the side effects and the possible, like maybe long-term effects that could come, which we don't know fully, of course. And also if I don't want to take it, I don't have to, I can keep so I think there's this whole pressure to almost, and I talked about this, do you know Sister online? I think you might. She also posts like a bunch of, she's from the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I did an episode with her and she said like there's this pressure to like put on people who have acne to cure their acne. Like
Yeah.
you have to cure it like right now, and it's like it's a slow process. Like it's not going to happen overnight, right? And I think even, maybe like the inflammation does go down, but then like you're left with scars that maybe never fully heal because like it's so difficult to
Yes.
heal that, right? So and that kind of leads us into the next topic I want to touch on is, was there ever that kind of acceptance point for yourself, like you mentioned, like your acne will never go away, like you can do things kind of mitigate it a bit, but like you're still going to get the odd breakout. Like was there a point where you had to kind of reflect on that and be like, you know what, like this is just something that's a part of my life now?
I think it kind of ebbs and flows. I think that in my deepest core, I have come to terms with the fact that it will always kind of be around in some form or another. I think that I really forced myself to understand that when I was going on Accutane because it is not a you take one pill and it goes away. I was on Accutane for 6 months, and
Yeah.
for the first 3.5 months, it didn't even get better. It just got worse until it started getting better. So during that time is where I really had to force myself to realize, listen, like this is what you're going to be living with. This is
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to have, and there's going to be scars left over, there's going to be marks left over, and this is what's going to be okay. But there's still times where I'm breaking out, before my period, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, you are ugly. You look ugly. And I say that to myself, and I know it's not true, but you have that inner monologue of what pressure is being put on from you on, from society, and what you're told is beautiful, and it's just so ingrained in you, so instilled in you, that you can look at yourself and you're like, I hate the way I look right now. I feel disgusting. I feel dirty. I don't feel pretty. I feel blech. Put that into a word, and I still have days like that too. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a difficult balance.
Right. No, for sure. I think that's right. Like you framed it perfectly that it's not like a linear journey. And there's gonna, as much as like you've grown this confidence in yourself, like there's still gonna be days like where you look at yourself and you're like, don't love everything I see. But like, like overall, like and I think having that mindset where you even said like you think these things, but you still know they're not true, right? And I think having that
Yeah.
like is so much help in itself to get to that point because you're never gonna get to like 100% like confidence that's like never unbreakable, like, but it's overall getting to a more positive place than negative place, like when you average out all your days and how you feel, right? Like as long as
Yeah.
you have like most of them where you feel like better about yourself, I think that's the overall goal. And I think one thing that I want to talk to you as well is like, I know you mentioned like sometimes people in your comments like mentioning like your acne scars and stuff, like how
Yeah.
have you felt regarding that? Because I know for me, I had this huge breakout, and like as it's the inflammation has gone down, I'm left with the scars. I always say like the scars don't really bother me because they don't hurt. you know, like that's
Yes.
the biggest thing. Like they don't hurt. I can't tell that they're there unless I really look in the mirror, because with acne, like you can feel it, and that's like the worst part in my opinion. But I look back at like videos and, you know, photos of myself and like kind of almost like grieving like the skin I once had, because it's like my skin will never look
Yeah.
like that again, no matter how much I heal my acne. Because even with all the laser treatments and microneedling that I can get, like the scars will never look the same as that like skin that was like, you know, like baby soft skin before. So, like,
Yeah.
have you ever had thoughts like that too?
1,000%. I think I'm in the same boat as you where I'm like, well, it doesn't hurt. I'm not bleeding on my pillowcases and waking up with blood everywhere every morning.
That's the
This
worst.
is this is better than what it was before. And I still have scars, especially on my temples, because I had 3-inch long cysts alongside the sides of
Wow.
my face. And it was so painful. And I had a lot of cortisol shots in my face. So I have a lot of more deeply embedded discolored sorts of scars on my temples and along my jawline and my neck. And I've gotten a lot of those comments. Why don't you do microdermabrasion, microneedling, get a, all these boop, 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 whatever. And I see some girlies, some people out there getting these procedures done, getting some wild ones done. I've seen where they get the stuff under their skin, and I'm like, you know what? You do you. But I don't think that could be me.
Mm,
And I just think real skin is beautiful. I think that we will never look like how we used to. And I don't think that we should try to. I think that
mm.
there's something so beautiful in authenticity in aging. I think aging is so taboo. Everybody wants Botox, which is fine. If you
Yeah,
feel more comfortable with that, do whatever makes you feel happy. But I feel like aging is so taboo. Why our bodies are meant to change, and I think it is a beautiful thing. I
yeah,
think that there is so much beauty. You look in nature and you see the beauty in age and change, and we stare at it in awe. Trees that grow so tall, flowers that go through all of these phases and stages, the moon. We look at all of these beautiful things, and then we look at ourselves and we have to be porcelain dolls. I don't understand where the change happened, with media and what we portray as beautiful, because I love stretch marks. I love stretch marks. I love my scars. I love the little lines I'm getting in the crinkle of my eyes. I love the lines I get when I smile. Like, I love the way that I look. And I don't think anybody could change it. I just think there's so much power in authentic, real skin. I think that there's just so much beauty in being who you truly are and showing the world, like, this is what I've gone through. This is what I've been through. Look at all these laughs that I've had. Look at all this
yeah,
pain that I felt. Like, I think that it is so strong and empowering to really let yourself live in the skin that you're in. You only get one body, right here, right now. Like, this is your body. Love it,
yeah,
enjoy it. And I think it is so powerful.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, you know, even with my acne scars, I often think like they are such a sign of like growth for myself,
Yeah.
because I can look at them and remind myself like, hey, like every single one of those scars used to be like such a pain point, right? Like a point where like it hurt so bad, and like you said, like you'd wake up with like the bloody pillowcase, or like you couldn't even like I
Yeah.
couldn't even sleep on the side of my
No.
face at one point, right? Because just that pain and inflammation. So it's like I overcame that, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like that. I think at least for me, every time my skin's gone clear and then I start breaking out again, I start getting into this cycle where I'm like, you know, getting down myself. And again, I have to pull up those photos, you know, where my skin was 1,000 times worse, to remind myself, like, hey, she kept a smile on her face here, right? Like, why are you crying
Yeah.
over 2 pimples right now, right? Like, you've been through worse, girl, right? So I think those
Yeah.
scars are a constant reminder, like, hey, like you've been through all of this, like you're not going to let this one breakout like hold you back from this event or this vacation or whatever else, right? So I think
Yeah.
like as you said, I don't know why there's this like whole thing around aging, especially with like I don't know, it's like almost like we're supposed to be like feel shame for like
Yeah.
aging, you know? And I think we're always compared to like our younger selves, right? Like there's all this, even not just with our skin, but with our bodies, right? Like girls, I literally saw a video on TikTok the other day, and this girl was like, she was like, oh, dreaming about my like how I looked in high school when I was only eating like 500 calories a day. And I'm like,
Girl, are you
what?
okay?
Like why, you know, why is that like our ideal that we, you
Aspiration.
know, like
Yeah.
it's like it's so normal to age. And I think like just finding like the beauty in that, as you said, and like just appreciating that, because that's a part of life. And at the end of the day, like it is such a privilege to age. But it's really interesting getting your perspective on that. And do you think like have you always felt that way, or did that kind of take some like growing?
That definitely took some growing. I think that most people, when you're a teenager, especially, you just want to be pretty perfect. I want to look smooth, smooth skin, no pimples. I need to aspire to, in early 20s too, very appearance heavy, very heavily
Right.
focused on my appearance. I did not always feel that way, but now I'm like, you know who's my inspiration? Jennifer Aniston. All right, Jennifer Aniston has she says, and do we believe her? I believe her. She says she hasn't had like any work done, and she's letting herself age gracefully. She doesn't believe in that. She's like unproblematic queen. Love her. Like,
Yep.
and she's so beautiful like that. There's so much beauty in like, hey, this is how my skin looks. Look at how healthy and
Yep.
like, I don't want to say normal, but look how healthy and like normal. That's the only word but that's not the right word. But you
Yep.
know, just look at how beautiful I am, and I have like this untouched skin. That's what I think of when I look at her. And I could be wrong, but I could have sworn that she said that she's never had any work done and that she's just trying to age gracefully. And that is so inspirational to me. Like, I love seeing people in the media that talk and voice themselves about, I don't have any work done. I don't want to get any work done, or maybe I get a little bit of Botox, but I'm not going to get a facelift. I love that. Like, I love that they're not falling in line with everybody before them to just kind of like, I need to keep up this appearance so I can keep my fame and my money. Why do you need to have a facelift to be famous and beautiful?
Yep.
You can be who you are and be famous and beautiful. I mean, look at us growing followers, and we're not famous, but we are who we are, and we're beautiful, and people care, and people want to hear what we have to say. You don't have to maintain a facade that's not real, and in order to be whatever it is that you want to be, you can be who you are, and the right people will find you.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I think I love how social media has kind of taken that turn, right? And just like, I think there's so much more like ways to go with like this whole positivity movement, and just not even
Yeah.
just positivity. I talk a lot about like body neutrality as well, because and I think even you mentioned like a lot today, like, there's so many moments where you do love your skin, but there's also going to be those moments where you like don't love it. And I think if you want to like improve something about yourself, like that's fine, right? Just like having more of that neutral approach when we look at our bodies, rather than like so positive or so negative. And I think there's so much ways to go like in social media with that as well. But I'm so happy that we've, made this much progress this far.
Yeah. I think it's incredible. And I think that there are so many great things on the horizon for the future. I don't know about you. I mean, I saw the skincare brand that you
Yep.
are a part of. I saw all these incredible things. And I think there's so much on the horizon. I know that there's so many things that I want to work on in the future. Um, there's so much potential for this movement, for skin positivity, skin neutrality, body positivity, acne, all of it.
Hmm.
There's so much that can be done. There's so much good work. There's so many people, kids, like high schoolers especially, that need to hear this sort of message, because I
Yeah.
know so many kids that are struggling, that hate the way that they look, and there's so much still to be done, and it's so much more than the amount of followers. I know I don't often talk about growth and all that stuff on social
Hmm.
media, but one thing that I've always said is, it doesn't matter to me if you follow me or unfollow me. If I'm relevant
Right.
to you, if I make a difference, your social media feed should be people that make you feel good. They should be people that inspire you to get to a point where you want to be, but also meet you where you're at. And if you don't feel like my content resonates with you anymore, then that's fine. If you're past the need for that kind of support and encouragement, then you can move on. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I don't care how many people are following me. I
Right.
want to reach the people that my content is relevant to,
Hmm.
and that's what's most important. So it's not about the followers, it's about the message.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that like you nailed it with that, because it's like at the end of the day, like I'd rather have, 500 people following me who really understand my message and get like, get a what's the word? I'm losing like my words here. Like
Like resonate.
you resonate with it and actually, see the quality, and it actually makes an
Yeah.
impact on their life, than like 100,000 people who maybe don't understand what I'm trying to do with my page, and don't like fully, understand my content, which is fine. Like I think, obviously our content isn't for everyone. Like if you've never struggled with your skin, like I
You
don't
won't get it.
I don't
Yeah.
see how you would get it, right? Because it's like it is such a unique experience in that. And this is
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to ask you, actually, like are you ever at times, I know this is weird to say, like, but like grateful that you got like adult acne? Like, has it taught you like
Yeah.
anything?
Oh, absolutely. I think that going through that experience, whoa, like you have to, I mean, it almost forces you to learn, after you get through it, or while you're in it, you got to take that opportunity to teach yourself that
Right.
my worth is not based off of my appearance, because you will seclude yourself, you will avoid people, you will not go on dates, not see your friends, not go to events, miss out on holidays, avoid your family, not push yourself at work. You'll hide. You will seclude yourself if you do not force yourself, because it's so hard. It's like you're training your brain. You're literally training your brain. Force yourself to realize my worth is not based off of my appearance.
Yeah.
I am entitled to a human experience just as much as
Mm-hmm.
anybody else, and my acne does not prevent me
Mm-hmm.
from that. It should not prevent me from that. My life is short. It could end any moment. I don't know
Yeah.
when it's going to end. I'm not going to let myself miss out on opportunities because I'm breaking out. I want to still have these memories. I want to still, if you don't want pictures taken, don't have pictures taken. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Do what makes you feel comfortable, but don't miss out on what is out there in that world, because you will regret it. Like, there's so many things I regret not going to hang out with friends, so many people that I don't even talk to anymore. Like, I wish that I would have put myself out there more, and once you start forcing yourself to do it, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, eventually it will feel natural to some extent. It'll start to feel natural. I don't know if you felt that way going to events and stuff, because I mean, I don't get invited to any events because I'm not that cool as you. But I don't know if you feel that way. Like, that first event, like, was that tough for you to be like, all right, this is how I look. We're going to go. We're going to do it.
I love like the now like you're interviewing me. I love that. No, I think definitely for sure like there's this pressure to like look like a polished influencer and I think also because so I'm in Canada, so I think like since there
Yeah.
are less of us here like and that's one thing, you know, speaking of like just being grateful for like the life you do have and the opportunities you have, like I used to like just be so angry that like I was an influencer in Canada because I was like I'm not getting these opportunities because I live in Canada. Like I remember the amount of brands that would reach out and they'd be like, "Oh, you're in Canada, we can't ship to you," and I'm like, "Ugh," or like we can't work to you because
Yeah.
work with you because you're in Canada. And I think now like I'm almost so grateful for that because I do think there are less influencers here, right? So like I think maybe if I had these numbers in the States where there are so many more influencers, maybe I wouldn't get as recognized. Like I don't know, but you have to just be grateful for what like you
Yeah.
have. And I think I kind of went off on a tangent, but yeah, I think I
Yeah.
definitely felt that pressure of like, I have to kind of look perfect because
Yeah.
I'm like around all these influencers. And yeah, like I think also though, a few of like the first events that I did go to, which probably helped, were like skin events. So there were other
That's what I
people
was gonna
there,
ask.
right?
Yeah.
That kind of also had acne or showed their real skin. But at the same time, I have met people who don't understand what I'm doing, right? Or maybe I think even maybe feel like a little threatened, but not in the way like in like a follower way or like a platform way, more in
Yeah.
just like they don't understand how I can be this open on social media. So then they're like, like, how are you just posting these like bad lighting photos where your skin looks so bad? Because most people,
Yeah.
they're trying to put themselves out into the best light. And I totally understand that. But I think, you know, making that choice of posting more real online is so powerful. And I think for a lot of us with acne, and at least like everyone I've interviewed that is been in the skin positivity space, I've seen this common theme of like everyone was like at such a low point with their skin and like they started posting not only as a way to help themselves and help others, but it's almost like our only way to like take that control back because you can't
Yeah.
control your acne. So it's
Yeah.
like I can't control how my skin is right now, but I can control, putting a photo out there and like not really worrying about it. So
Yeah. And what I'm curious about too with like those events, and I don't know if you felt this way. I've only been to like two,
okay.
because, and well, really one event and one photo shoot, which was amazing. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to do one of those yet, but when you
No, I
do,
have
because
not.
you will. So fun ish. Because what I wanted to say was, now that I don't live near New York, I feel kind of similar to you, because I used to live in Jersey, so I was near the city, and I felt like I was
Mm,
given way more opportunities. I didn't take everything, but I feel like there's just way more opportunities because you're near the city. So they're like, oh, look, you're here, the hustle and bustle. Now that I'm in
Yeah.
Florida, it's like I've fallen off the face of the earth and nobody cares. But in the two, beauty-ish, influencery, skincare type of things that I've gone to, I've honestly never felt more out of place. I My first ever big thing was like a couple months after I started, I was invited to New York to do a photo shoot with Laura Mercier. Incredible,
Fun.
like one of my favorite experiences I've ever
Right.
done, ever.
Yeah.
And I was surrounded by legit models. And it was cutthroat. Like that whole, like, I used to want to do that. Cutthroat. These people are out here on these streets, like, killing it, like back to back to back bookings, because you don't know when you're going to get paid. So I'm
Right.
out here trying to be bubbly. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. There was one other skin positivity person
Yeah.
there, Shiny, and even she was like, we ended up chatting after we first met. She was like, I didn't know if you liked me. I was like, what? I don't. It's so like stressful, that space. And
Yeah.
then I got invited to another event in the city from Dermalogica, and it was so fun. They did like little facials. They had a little champagne bar, and I was just surrounded by these people, and I love Dermalogica. Dermalogica is one of my all-time favorite brands, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I don't see any of these people posting about their skin online. I think all of these people are beauty people and lifestyle people, and they all like knew each other, and they're all like looking so put together and like posh and like so like attentive to the way that their image is being portrayed, and I'm sitting there like, oh, I don't feel like I fit in here at all. I feel like skin positivity is still growing to be its own space, and the skincare brands are starting to do things and starting to
Mm-hmm.
branch out to those people, but I still feel like there's such a heavy focus on people with skin that already looks nice, that it's easy to be like, oh, use our products because look at how their skin looks now, because it's, and I'm doing air quotes for people that don't see the video, looks nice, that desirable appearance of smooth skin with no fine lines and no breakouts. Like, if anything, I want to see more people like me. I want to see the texture, I want to see the breakouts. As a consumer, I
Mm-hmm.
want to see more real. I want more real skin. So I don't know if you've ever felt that way. I know that was long-winded, but how did you feel when you went to these events? Like, was it mostly beauty people? Was it, I know you said your first few were like skincare people, but like, did you ever feel that intimidation, like almost like you didn't fit in?
I would definitely say like they were like kind of, yes, it was like skincare brand, like skincare
Mhm.
products, but of course there were people with like, perfectly smooth skin, and there were a few people like who were in like the skin positivity space, but I do think it's very much like two different spaces, because I think,
Yeah.
I have had some comments where people are like, you know what, I don't even have acne, but like I trust your reviews more than someone with clear skin because at least I can see the product. So I think I
Yeah.
definitely do get some people who don't have acne, but I would say the majority of my followers are probably people who do struggle with their skin or have struggled with their skin at some point in their life. So I think like, you know, the people who have never had a skin issue, like they're probably not going to be able to relate to my content. So they do need like the influencer with perfect skin as well, but then someone who has struggled with acne can't relate to that person. So I do think like, we do
Both
need
are
those two
necessary.
spaces.
Yeah.
And I think the space is growing, right? Like I actually just went to the Drake concert with
I saw that.
Hero,
Yeah.
because they just came to Canada actually, and it was so awesome because it was like all like acne girlies, and I was like, finally, like the acne girlies like have like finally like gotten their shot in life.
I
And
know.
I think that's so great to see, and I do want to see more of it like in mainstream media, and just like not even just acne, but like just showing untouched skin. Like I don't even care if you have perfectly smooth skin. I just
Yes.
like want to see like that, right? Like I just don't want to see it like retouched, because it's like, why do you even need to retouch it? Your skin's already so beautiful. That's like the part that I like don't understand.
It's because pores are flaws. People perceive like pores as flaws when pores serve a purpose on your face. They help your skin breathe. They
Yeah.
remove toxins from your body, and that's what gets retouched all the time, even on people with beautiful skin, because
Yeah.
we perceive pores as flaws. Pores are not flaws, people. They're a
Right.
necessary part of our body, and your skin is still beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly. And I hope like I think with your content and all the stuff you're doing, like the stuff I'm doing, like, and there's so many other amazing acne positivity creators, and I'm so happy to see this space grow. And whenever I get
Yeah.
DMs being like, you encouraged me to start my own page, I'm like, yes, this is what we need. Because it's like, even if you don't want to, like, anyone listening, even if you don't want to be an influencer, I think each and every one of us doing our part in just posting more real on social media is like so powerful in itself. Like, I'm not saying all of us have to be influencers. If you want to, go
Yeah.
for it, like if that's your passion, I highly recommend it because it's so fun. But like, even just like our personal accounts, just posting more real on that, because I remember so much, like, the account I had that had like 1,000 followers in high school that was like private. I
Yeah.
wanted to uphold this like image on there, and it's like, what's the point? Like, who was I trying to impress that much with like retouching all my photos and everything? And looking back at it, I find it so silly now, but at that time, that's
Yeah.
that pressure that I felt to do, right? So yeah, I think like there is so much potential for the space to grow. I think this is kind of the direction social media has like fortunately taken, and I hope that it grows more and kind of leaks into like more conventional media as well, and not just like, not just social media itself, but also other things. And I've seen it too, like you see more news articles about it, which is super
Yeah.
cool. But I do want to see more of it, like in mainstream posts as well, which I think is awesome. I just saw a post from like Charlotte Tilbury, I think the other day. It was like an ad, and the girl who was in the ad like had acne, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, and I love seeing brands, especially makeup brands, beauty
Mm-hmm.
brands, where they're not shying away from showing their products on real skin. It's okay if someone has bumps under their foundation. Like,
Well,
if you have acne, you're gonna have bumps.
yeah.
Like,
Well, especially like luxury makeup brands too, because they're
yeah.
selling this whole like, like perfect look. So I think that is like so cool to see.
I love it because that's a lot of your consumers are going to have
Mm-hmm.
skin like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you're gearing towards maybe the more luxe person that has more money. There are people that have money that have acne, like it's not,
I
you
don't
know,
think I don't think acting like sees like your bank account and it's like, oh, we won't hate you today, don't worry. You're good.
you have over
No,
10K,
yeah,
you're good.
you're
We'll leave
good.
you alone. But
Yeah.
I do have another question for you.
Sure.
I don't know if you have more questions for me because I'll also answer this for myself. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I know you're in school right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you were kind of like, maybe I will do something with my degree, maybe I
Yeah.
won't. So what do you kind of think for your future? Like, do you have any idea, or are you kind of on the fence about what could happen? Like, do you think that there would ever be a point where this becomes your whole life? Or
Mm,
are you someone that's like, you know what, I kind of like having one foot in both worlds and I kind of want
right.
to keep it that way?
So it's interesting because I think right now, like my mindset has been like, if I've been able to grow this, my like accounts and this like, I want to say job, because I think at the end of the day, like it is a job for many people. And
Yeah.
even for me, like right now, since I'm in school, like this is my full job. And it's like, if I've been able to do this like this whole time, like while being in school, I'm just curious to see like, what can I do with it when this is kind of like the full thing I'm putting my attention to. So
Yeah.
I've kind of like made my mind up that like once I graduate, I kind of want to give myself some time to like explore this, because I think when opportunities come, you do kind of have to jump on them. I think me going back to like an engineering role, I can kind of do that at any time. I mean,
Yeah.
hoping the economy is good, like, right, but like, if assuming all of those things, like I'm sure I can find like a job in the engineering space. But it's like, with social media and content, like things move so fast that it's like, if you don't really jump on the trends and like the growth when it's there, like I can't really be like, okay, let me go work an engineering job and like come back to this in a couple years, because like
Yeah.
people would forget about me so fast, right? So it's like, I kind of have to, and that's why I've kept my accounts growing like for the past like 9 years. But I think once I do graduate, I do want to just like stay in the space, because at this point, like I would consider myself full time with it.
Yeah.
I just have to finish school off. But the thing is, I don't think I've ever been the type of person that can kind of do one, like I get bored really quickly. And I think that's the
Yeah.
fun thing with social media, is like I can always switch stuff up. I always have like a new project. Like, this year I brought on like the podcast, which has been super fun. Not that I need another thing to take like worry about each week, but like it is a really fun space. I get to connect with people like you. I think it's awesome just for even connecting with other creators and people in the space. But I've also now started my skincare line, which I hope to like put more focus into
Yeah.
that, because I haven't really been able to with with school. Like, I mean, we work on it every single week, and I mean, it's just like, it's literally me and my business partner. So we are doing everything, like from mixing to packaging to like website to social media. Like, we are doing everything right now. And I mean, the brand is by nowhere like near huge at all, but like, it still takes work to maintain that every day. And I would love to be able to pour more of my focus into that once kind of like school is not the front of mind, because I am like
Yeah.
taking a really heavy, like I'm taking 6 courses right now, and I kind of will be
Oof.
in that heavy of a course load until I'm done. So it's like I can only put so much energy into like each thing. I hope that answered your question. I know it's very
Yeah.
complicated.
No, I love that. I do because I'm curious because like we talked about earlier, I'm kind of in the same boat where
Right.
I'm the same person as you. I almost can never do one thing. I need to
Mm-hmm.
be doing multiple things. I think it's maybe the ADHD. I don't really know where it's
Yeah.
like I need to be doing a million things at once, but I don't really know what the future holds for me either. I feel
Right.
like I've always kind of said I don't think I will ever just do social media.
Mm.
I don't think that that could ever be me because I am never put all of my eggs in one basket kind of person.
I'm the
And
same. It's scary to me when
it's
I
too
see these
scary.
influencers, especially like one platform, one stream of income. I'm like, are you not terrified?
And they're like, I quit my job to do this full time. I'm like, nice flex. I'm proud of you. I hope that you make it, girl. Cause like I'm stressed. Like with you, you have the brand that you just,
Mm-hmm.
started. So even if you were to do social media full time, I feel like you still have that other basket. You still have that multiple streams of revenue coming in. You still have multiple things that you're juggling. I don't have a thing in the background. So I feel like if I were to just quit and do that full time, I would almost be like, I could probably sustain myself
Mm-hmm.
fairly medium well off of what I make off social media, but I don't trust it. I feel like you could go from being so relevant to irrelevant at the drop of a dime. Trends are always changing. I don't know about you, but my Q4 has been super dry. My Q1 was super dry. Like I was not making as much money as I made last year or even the year before with
Yep.
content, even though I have more followers now.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I am so nervous about taking that risk. That's why right now, like my jobs that I have are like part time. So I almost feel like it gives me
Yeah.
flexibility to kind of like, okay. And what's great is like I can do one of my jobs from home. So it's like
Right.
I can do multiple things. My other job is I take on clients as I deem myself
Mm.
available. And when I get my
Perfect.
degree, I can literally work from home and supervise other people or again take on clients at my leisure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think that kind of having that for anybody that's listening that's thinking about growing, finding something that gives you that flexibility if you want to start social media, I feel like is the safest bet
Yep.
for yourself
I
because
totally agree.
you have that in the background, so you're safe. You're
Yeah.
not going to risk not missing a rent payment, but you have this ability to play and have fun and try new things and grow. And listen, for people that are out there that quit their full time job and do social media as their full time job, I'm proud of you. I wish, girl. Like
Yeah,
I'm
I
too
cannot
stressed.
I could not live like that. It's so interesting to me because it's like, for me, like, I even remember when like there was talks about TikTok being banned, and I was like,
Yeah.
how is like all these influencers who like only do TikTok like not freaking out, because I would be like losing my mind. And like I have like, I'm on YouTube, I have the podcast, TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah.
and like I have like this whole like 2 degrees like that I'm like about to finish here,
Yeah.
that if I need to, like, I'm sure I can find a job in the engineering or business space or whatever other space, because
Yeah.
it's like a pretty broad um degree that like you can go into a lot with. So, and I'm still like, I'm always stressed about like, okay, what can I do more, like have more of that stability. So it's like, I don't know how people live that, like, I don't want to say like freely, but could not be me. Again, like, props to them for being confident in that. But like,
Yeah.
I just like, I also think if I did just social media, like no brand, no like other side projects, even just this podcast, like even though it's still social media, it allows me to like actually connect with people. I think if I didn't
Yeah.
have any of that, I would literally kind of go like a little bit insane. So I definitely need
Yeah.
like, and I also think it's so grounding too, because anytime I've gone like on like a brand trip or something, and I've come back when I was working in the office, and I'd come back to the office, like that was like so grounding, because like I think it just teaches you like hard work, and like it brings you back into like real life, because I think social media, you live in this like little world that's like not
Yeah.
real and very like I don't want to say out of touch, but like a lot of people can't understand it, right? So when you're in that world all the time, like I don't think it's the best. And like I think it's good to kind of be brought down to like what normal life kind of looks like also.
Yeah, I don't think I could sit in my room all day and like talk to a phone or a
Right.
camera. I feel like I would go crazy. I feel like I need like person interaction. I'm just one of those people like I need to go. I feel like I'm helping people, we're helping people online, but I almost need to like physically be helping somebody to really
Yeah.
feel like I have a purpose. I feel
Right.
like there's still that disconnect, especially because I don't think I'm even close to that point or will ever get to that point, but like doing like a follower meetup where you actually like
Mm.
put, and I don't know if you've ever had people approach you yet. I've had 2 people approach me like 2 years ago saying, "Oh, I follow you on social media." I like wanted to die. I was like, "Oh, cool." Like, I didn't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Like,
It's definitely a weird like interaction, but it's like also like really fun. It's like very like I'm always very appreciative because
yeah,
it's like thank you for like, even taking the time to say
yes,
hi. So I'm happy we kind of like dived into like this conversation. Also, I think it's like really cool to see other people kind of doing that. I always call it like the Hannah Montana lifestyle because it's like one thing
yeah,
by like day and another by night, which I think is so fun. But yeah, no, thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on Loud Talk. This was such a
yes.
good conversation, and I'm so excited that we got to like actually, talk. And now I feel like I know a lot more about you. And when I'm, liking your stuff on socials, I can kind of put like a
Yeah,
voice and a face and like a real person because I know we're on Zoom, but it still feels like
yeah.
nice to like interact and meet this way. And thanks for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me anytime. You can have me on. I absolutely love it. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for coming on Loud Talk Lavi. It was so fun to chat with you. Do you want to tell the listeners or anyone watching where they can find you on social media?
You can find me at the Blemish Queen on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, even though I don't really post on there anymore. But that is where I'm at. Feel free to follow me. I have big aspirations and dreams of things that will happen at some point. But if you're looking for real content, someone that is authentic, if you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for makeup on real skin,
Yep.
skincare reviews, somebody that's trying to learn how to do their hair but has no clue what they're doing, someone that is just like a disheveled, like authentic mess, give me a follow because
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you. That's me. I'll be your girl. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me.
No, for sure. Yeah, you guys gotta go check out Nicole. I love your quality too. Like you guys will see real skin, makeup reviews, skincare, all of that. So definitely go give her a follow. And thank you to anyone listening in on Loud Talk with Lavi. If you made it to the end of this episode, make sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not, if you're listening in on a streaming platform, we do post the video version on YouTube. So definitely go check that out. But give this podcast a 5-star rating. It would be very much appreciated. And give us a follow on Spotify if you're listening on there. We post new episodes every single Sunday at 7 a.m. MST. And that is really it. Thank you for getting loud with me. Thank you for getting loud with me, Nicole. And
Yes.
to anyone listening, remember to tell yourself something you love about your skin today, and you'll hear from me in the next episode of Loud Talk with Lavi. Bye, everyone.
Bye.